Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Good afternoon to another episode of the Heron's Haven podcast here on the here on the Sofo Soccer channel. I'm your host Matt, and today we're going to be doing the Inter Miami versus Atlanta United preview for tomorrow, Wednesday, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time at Chase Stadium in the MLS regular season. We have a couple of things to talk about today. We're gonna do a little bit of a pregame. We'll talk about some things not related to the game. We'll talk about some transfers coming in. We're gonna talk a little bit about Luis Suarez. We'll talk a little bit about Campana, a bit about some former players, some transfer rumors that have been lingering around for quite a while, but have been resurfacing, I guess, in the last couple days. So we'll get into that, and then we'll touch on the game. We'll do a predicted starting 11, a predicted score, and then we'll finish it off there, like always. So without further ado, let's get into our first topic. And so I guess as you can see by the thumbnail, when you clicked on this video or on this podcast episode, Suarez could potentially be called up to the Uruguay national team for the Copa America. This wasn't a possibility before. I mean, Suarez has always said he loves to play for his national team. He's always been passionate about playing for his national team, and he spoke about it in multiple press conferences. But because of his age, and even though despite his performances, especially at Gremio and even now at Inter Miami, it just wasn't a possibility. With Marcelo Bielsa looking for younger options, for better options elsewhere. But now there has been the unfortunate recent injury of Federico Viñas, who will be out for a pretty long period of time for at minimum the rest of the current season, because he ruptured his Achilles. And so he has a very long-term injury. Not exactly sure how long exactly. But this brings up the conversation of being replaced by Luis Suarez of Inter Miami. And there's pros and cons to this, right? There's a lot of pros and cons to this topic. One being, and this has been confirmed, this has been talked about in the news from Uruguay. This has been talked by Uruguay News. There hasn't been an official statement, saying that Suarez is actually confirmed to be in the lineup or in the Uruguay squad. Uruguay is I'm pretty sure has said that they're not going to release their actual 30-man squad for the friendlies until like the very, very last minute, which should be like in a week from now, I believe. Because I think all the national teams have to confirm their teams by like June 4th or something, or I forget the date. But anyways, there's pros and cons to this, right? I'm going to look at the pros for some of the pros that I could think of. This gives this if Suarez does get called up as a replacement for the injured Viñas for the national team, this will give a lot of playing time to Campana. Okay, this will give a lot more game time for Campana as the starting number 9. This could potentially give more game time to Leo Afonso. We could possibly see Messi being put in that striker position with Matias Rojas and Robert Taylor, or Leo Afonso, Robert Taylor. We can see a lot more mix and match with the lineup, and we'll still have a strong squad, regardless if Suarez is there or not. I know he's one of the top goal scorers. He's been doing very, very well recently. But I think this could be a lot of positives as to giving other players more game time, like Campana. I'm heavy on Campana. I love Campana. He's always been our guy in previous seasons. He's been obviously been in and out of games. He's only made a couple of starts this season, but he's been scoring every time he's been playing a decent amount of time. So I think a lot of game time for Campana would really, really be beneficial to the team, for him, of course. And hopefully, I mean, regardless if Campana gets game time or not, I really hope Suarez doesn't get freaking injured. So which will take me to my cons. I feel like there's not that many pros to this because we're already I don't want to say lacking depth, but lacking, I don't know, in that striker position, there's not really that many options. I mean, we have Campana, we have Afonso. But in terms of experience and in terms of quality, like a high quality of a player, it's just Campana after Suarez, right? Leo Afonso obviously doesn't have the experience. We have Borgelin, but he doesn't have the experience, and I don't really highly rate him on in the first team. I think he still needs time. Same thing with Afonso. He needs time, even though he has impressed with the minutes that he's been given for the first team. But anyways, the cons, going into the cons, um, like I said, it leaves us with one player less, right? Like pretty much a whole player, a player less, an experienced player, a really high quality player, not being available. One of our top goal scorers not being available for about a month, at least, yeah, for at least the rest of June. That's if they don't get knocked out in early rounds, right? Or and like the rest of June and like maybe early July. So like a really, really long time in MLS wise, right? So that'll probably impact us a lot. It'll put a lot of stress on Campana. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Campana, pretty much playing every single game, and he's going to get fatigued. He's going to get overworked, and hopefully that doesn't lead to an injury. But we could see that. We could see I mean, I don't know how much game time Suarez is actually going to get if he does get called up to the national team, because he will be a backup striker. The starting striker will most likely be Darwin Nunez, right? Like a 99% chance of Darwin Nunez being the number 9 striker, unless he completely flops and Suarez starts popping off in the Copa America, and that's a whole other situation. But given the situation where he's given maybe relatively like a squad playing role, he'll get off the bench at 70th, 60th minute, or maybe he'll play a half or something. There's a high possibility that he can get injured, especially at that level. They're playing a lot more aggressively. They're playing for this tournament. Every game matters. They're going to be playing rough, and they're going to be, playing rough, and they could potentially injure Suarez. So Suarez getting an injury, I feel like he would be susceptible to one, given his age, given his history. It's very likely that he could be given one. So that's definitely a con. The depth of squad in the con, but I think if you were to say my opinion, like if you were to ask me like what my opinion is, would I want Suarez to go out for national team duty, just purely focusing on club? Like if I were to think Inter Miami right now, I would say no. Like I would say I would not want Suarez to go to the national team. I mean, like that's obviously not in my control, but hypothetically speaking, like if I could make that decision, I would tell him not to go, because he would be so crucial to Inter Miami. Because we're already going to be losing Messi and some other players that we'll talk about. I feel like just a loss of Suarez is not like the worst thing in the world, but I think with the term we're talking about other players like Messi, like Redondo, and I don't know if Robert Taylor is actually going to be called up. But just in terms of other players that could be leaving or is leaving, it's going to really, really hurt us for this month, for this summer, really. So I would personally not want him to go, as much as I would love Campana to get a lot more game time. I think he could do that just with great performances like what he has been doing recently, especially last time out against Vancouver. He did amazingly. Obviously, he scored, but he's been a real key player when he does play. So I would not want Suarez to leave. Let me know what you think in the chat, in the comments down below, if you're watching this after this goes live. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I personally would not want him to go, just simply because he will be a key piece to Inter Miami this season, with everybody else leaving for international duty. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of rumors and a couple of Copa America situations before we get into the Atlantic game, right? So there's the high possibility that Messi, Suarez, and Campana could be sent to international duty. Obviously, Messi's going, right? 100%, it's guaranteed. But obviously, there's rumors that Suarez and Campana could be representing the national teams this summer. Campana could be called up for the Ecuadorian national team if he continues to gain, if he could. I mean, there's not really that much time left, right? But he could still be called up, and if this is the case, we're completely screwed. We're completely screwed this summer. I mean, our starting strikers is going to have to be Leo Afonso and Borgelin for this summer, which could be absolutely disastrous. It could be absolutely disastrous. It could lead to no points this summer. I'm going to be honest with you. And this is me speaking truthfully. This is me speaking um, from down here. As much as I don't want that to happen, I highly rate Borgelin and Afonso. I think they have a bright future ahead of them, especially Afonso. He's been really, really improving. He's been proving himself to us. Like I've said in the past, I don't rate Borgelin too highly as of right now for the first team. But seeing them rotating for a starting position or even playing both of them up top, I think is extremely, extremely worrying if that is a possibility this summer. Not seeing Messi, not seeing Suarez, not seeing Campana. Like, who are we going to play at strike? Are we just going to play Robert Taylor and Matias Rojas at striker? Who's going to play the wing? Is Jordi Alba going to play the wing with Negri at left back? It's just I don't know. Is David Ruiz going to move to right mid, or Gressel going to move to the right mid with Ruiz in the center with Busquets or Cremachi? I don't know. I mean, and honestly, I mean, it's still possible, right? If you play Robert Taylor and Matias Rojas at the striker positions, it's still possible, but it's just very, very worrying because we will be lacking that experience and depth in those attacking roles. So unless Robert Taylor and Matias Rojas and even Gressel can carry in terms of creating options, and even Cremachi in the midfield, and even Redondo now that he's back, maybe we could see Cremachi playing a more attacking role, maybe as a winger, or even Ruiz. I don't know. Like maybe Cremachi could be a left winger with Robert Taylor as a striker, with Matias Rojas as a winger, Redondo getting further up the field in the midfield, with Gressel getting further up the field, Busquets staying back. It's definitely possible, but it's still it's a concern. It's definitely a concern if all three of those players are gone for international break. I really hope Campana doesn't get called up. I mean, like, I would love to. Like, it would be great for him, right? It would be great for him as a player. But talking about Inter Miami, it would be pretty bad. It would be pretty worrying. We do have Fred Spot in the chat saying, wonder if Suarez would even want to go since he most likely would be the backup option for Uruguay due to his age. That is also a possibility. He, like I've said before, thank you for your comment, by the way. Like I said before, Suarez always, like, he says it in press conferences that he always wants to represent his national team, right? But given that he will be given the role of a squad player, a rotation player, it is the possibility that he just isn't interested because he's not going to get game time, or barely will get game time unless Darwin Nunez completely messes it up, right? I still think if he's given the opportunity to go, I feel like he would. It'll be the last time he'll ever play for his national team, realistically speaking. So I think maybe he would, even if it's off the bench. And Uruguay has a really good chance of winning the Copa America this year. As an Argentinian, as someone who is from, or who has Argentinian descent, I can admit that they have a strong squad and are real contenders for winning the whole thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does get called up, and if he does accept the call up, if he does get that, right? So honestly, I don't doubt it. I know, Fred, you may be wondering. I honestly wouldn't have a doubt that he'll accept it if he's given the opportunity. If he doesn't, then great for us, great for Inter Miami fans, right? But I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that he goes if given that opportunity. There are a lot of other players, man. There are a lot of other players that are going to international duty as well. I'm pretty sure Redondo will be gone for the Olympics for the U23s for Argentina. I don't know if Robert Taylor has been called up for Finland. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure a couple of other players, like I think Remachi might be going to the U23s. I have no clue. I have zero clue. But I just know that this summer is going to be rough when it comes to international duty. Taylor declined from the, okay, yeah. Okay, because I thought so. I heard something about that. I heard something about him going to playing for Finland, representing Finland. Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay, he said in an interview. All right. Yeah, no, I have the worst memory. So yeah, I heard something about it. I don't remember if he said he wanted to go or not want to go. He said that he declined Finland, which is kind of crazy. Maybe he didn't like the role that he was gonna play, or maybe he just really wants to focus on Miami. Um, I don't know, but I think it's good for Miami that he's going to be staying. But yeah, um, well, who was the other player that I was going to talk about? Since Finland missed out on the Euros, he's not going to play. Okay, makes sense. Sure, deal. Screw it. I'll take it. Thanks, Fred, for that. I appreciate you. Um, Thanks for that info. Yeah, because I can have the worst memory. Like I'll remember something, but I won't remember it fully. Like something like in this case with Taylor. Like I remember him talking about I remember like watching his press conference, like talking about like representing Finland, but I don't remember exactly what he said. But anyways, um, I'll talk about one more player before we get into the actual preview, and he doesn't play for Miami, or yeah, he doesn't play for Miami anymore, and that is Julian Carranza. I don't know if you guys remember Julian Carranza. For those of you who are OG Inter Miami fans, this guy's been with us in the beginning, and and I've always said it, and I really wish I started like this podcast like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, but I've said it to my parents or my father, who I've always went to the games with. We're season ticket members. We pretty much go to every single home game since 2020. I've always highly rated Julian Carranza, and he has been severely underlooked as a squad. I mean, obviously he was fighting for a starting position over Higuain at the time, right? Bebita Higuain. But now he found a lot of success at Philly. He's been scoring a lot of goals. He's having fun there, but his contract is expiring at the end of this season, I'm pretty sure. Um, so his contract is expiring with Philly. He hasn't renewed because he's been gaining a lot of interest from European clubs, which I think I would just want to talk about this because I just really wish Inter Miami used him a lot more, a lot better. That was under the helm of Phil Neville at the time. But I really wish we could have kept somebody like Julian Carranza. I think he would have been a great number 9 for us. But I mean, it's better for him that he left to get more game time at Philly, and I really hope that he gets the move that I think he deserves in Europe. I believe Feyenoord is the club that is has the highest interest in him. They said that they will be signing him on a free contract when it does expire at the end of the year, um, which would be during a winter transfer window. So I think they said that they wanted to wait until the summer. So if anything, he's either going to be leaving this summer, or he might extend his contract for another 6 months and then move to Feyenoord if that all goes through. I just wanted to mention that because for all the OG Inter Miami fans who remember a quality player like Julian Carranza. Um, I also saw some news that if you guys remember, Gonzalez Pires, the defender that played for us last season, or was it last season? The season prior, before he went out on loan, he got I'm pretty sure he got an injury. I think he tore his hamstring. When because I'm pretty sure he's technically on a loan from us to River, and he just suffered a hamstring injury. So I don't know what that's going to mean exactly. I don't know if he's actually going to go on a permanent move to River. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't think we're going to get him back. But yeah, he suffered a tear in his left hamstring, which is never good, right? But so that's really unfortunate for Gonzalo Pires. Um, he's been him and Figal have been real troublemakers for us when they did play for us. But yeah, I think that's everybody that I wanted to talk about as a little pre-game before the actual preview, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's get into the preview against game against Atlanta tomorrow. Let's talk about a little bit about Atlanta's form and how they have been doing recently. So I could tell you right now off the top of my head, like I don't have any notes or anything, but I can tell you off the top of my head, Atlanta are having the worst season that I've ever seen them like have. Like especially when Tata Martino used to coach for them and they've won the league. What was it in like 2017, 18 or whatever it was? They are having like the worst season forever. I feel like, in my opinion, they haven't. I feel like I don't remember the last time they won a game. Um, they are currently sitting in 12th position in the Eastern Conference, 3 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses, 17 goals for, 17 against. They're sitting on 13 points now with Montreal, who's also not doing very well. It's they're really, really doing bad, man. Like in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home game, or in their last 5 games, they got 3 losses and 2 draws. They lost to LAFC, they tied to Nashville, lost to Cincinnati, lost to DC. It's been really, really downhill for this club, man. And I feel like there has been a lot of frustration with the fans in terms of, how their head coach has been doing. Um, is a Mexican guy, Gonzalo Pineda. I'm pretty sure Pineda. Um, yeah, they've been just really upset at what has been going on with this club, and he could be getting sacked. Whether it's after this game, if he loses this game against Miami, he's most likely going to get sacked, right? And it's just really unfortunate to see a club like Atlanta just struggling so much, right, to get a win. They're a couple of their best players. They do have the attacker Tiare. He is a Senegalese player, Senegalese striker. I'm pretty sure he's one of their best attacking players. They obviously have Kusan in goal, who's a very, very experienced goalkeeper. They do have their winger from Georgia, the country Georgia, Saba Sobanadzi, who also looks to be pretty good. Mayumba in the midfield as well. They have like pretty like they don't have terrible players, right? Like they definitely don't have terrible players. And so for them to be struggling like this, like you just kind of question what's going on from the managerial standpoint, right? And so what does this mean for Inter Miami exactly? So they're having a bad season. We're on a really good run. We just went 10 games unbeaten. As I put in the title, it's 10 games unbeaten. We should be destroying Atlanta, especially in our home stadium, Chase Stadium, in the Wednesday and midweek game. I feel like even though a lot of people don't like midweek games for obvious reasons, because it's a Wednesday night, everybody gets work in the morning, school in the morning, whatever. I feel like it's going to be a good turnout because of a team, the likeliness of us destroying a team like Atlanta is really, really high. So for us to actually gain points and have a really, really good performance and seeing the likes of Messi and them play, I feel like regardless, it's gonna be pretty up there in terms of matches. Like in terms of attendance. What am I saying? Attendance. But yeah. And by the way, Messi is said to play. He has been seen in training via Michelle Kaufman for the Miami Herald. She took a video of the training this morning, saying that Messi, Suarez, Busquets are expected to be back for the Atlanta game on Wednesday. They've been shown playing a little rondo in training. So it's very, very, it's anticipated that they will be starting or at least playing in the game on Wednesday. And remember, we do have back-to-back home games this week. We have pretty much a double, let's just call it a doubleheader for this week. We have a game tomorrow, and then on Saturday, we play St. Louis, also at home. So I don't know what the strategy is going to be. He could be playing a full starting 11 tomorrow and maybe resting some players along the way, depending on how the game goes. But I feel like it'll be, what's it called? I mean, both teams have not been doing great. I'm talking about St. Louis City and Atlanta. They both haven't been doing great. So maybe it could be enough time for the players to get some rest. Maybe the training workload will decrease so they could stay sharp for both games. But I think it's just very, very important, especially before these guys leave on international duty, that we get as all the wins we can and we can get the game time out of these players like Messi and Suarez. Boosie and stuff are obviously not going anywhere. They've obviously retired from international duty. But before these other players like Redondo and them leave for like the Olympics and whatnot, it's very, very crucial that we play them as much as we can. We don't risk them, but just play them as often as we can if they're healthy, and to get to always have our odds of winning at the highest possible rate, right? So honestly, guys, we should be destroying this team. Like there's just no other, like there's nothing more to say that we should be destroying Atlanta, right? Let me do a predicted starting 11. Concerning the fact that Messi, Suarez, and Busquets are back in training today, they should be playing tomorrow. Um, in net, we'll put Drake Calendar. That's our boy. We have no other competition for him. So he's our only option. In the back four, I don't know if Jordy's going to be starting or they might consider resting him. Maybe they will consider. Maybe they will start Jordi Alba and then rest him in the second half, so then he could play in on Saturday. But yeah, maybe they'll. I'll say Jordi Alba will start with Kritsov and Aviles with Cello in the back. Noah Allen may get an appearance, or we might see some rotation in the back four to get some rest for Saturday's game. But that's the back four that I'm going for. In the midfield, I think Gramash is going to hit the bench. He didn't have the best performance last time out, and not that his performances have been on a decline, but it's been very average, right? He could be doing a little more. He isn't really doing bad necessarily. But I think either Ruiz or Redondo could take that starting position back. I think that Ruiz will take the starting position with Redondo coming off the bench. And that's my opinion because I don't know exactly the condition that Redondo is in. I don't know if he's fully fit to play a full 90 minutes because I feel like if Redondo is going to play, he has to play a full 90. Or at least like 80 something minutes, right? Like 80 minutes. So in my opinion, either Redondo will start, play 80 minutes, Ruiz comes in off the bench, or Ruiz gets the start, and then they bring on Redondo off the bench as like a maybe. But if Redondo doesn't get a full 90 or just a start or the majority of playing time tomorrow against Atlanta, I feel like for sure he is going to get a start this Saturday against St. Louis. So I think it's either one of them in the midfield with Busquets is obviously, I feel like he's going to be playing. He should be playing every single game if he's fully fit. Busquets is going to be playing. We have Gressel in the midfield. Like I said, I love Gressel, highly rate Gressel. Feel like people underestimate that guy. Love him in the midfield. We're keeping him on the right. And then the top three, the front three is going to be Robert Taylor, Leo Campana, and Lionel Messi. I think Campana should keep his starting position at the striker role. If Suarez does get that role back, then sure, whatever, right? I mean, you can't really be upset. Like, I won't be upset on who gets that starting role, right, in that striker position. However, I think Campana deserves the start. I 100% think Campana deserves a start. And if he doesn't get a start, he should be at least be playing one half. Suarez, depending on how Suarez plays, he should be getting either subbed on in the second half or start Campana and bring Suarez on in the second half. Something like that. I just think Campana deserves to be in this team. I think like he's been crucial. He's obviously scored that last minute winner a few games ago. I think it was 2 games ago. He's played yesterday phenomenally. He just plays really, really well when he gets the minutes, right? So I just think he deserves that starting position. Obviously, Messi's going to be on that right wing. I think Robert Taylor is our left wing. That is our guy. Matias Rojas is great. I think he did a lot better when he came off the bench. I didn't like him starting in that right wing role. I think he could have contributed a little more to the team. But I think in a game against Atlanta, we obviously shouldn't underestimate these guys, right? Never underestimate your opponent in any circumstances, no matter how terribly they're doing in the season. They could still beat us. They could still like kind of embarrass us at home. Just if we go in with a bad mentality. But I think regardless, we should be doing very, very well when it comes to just picking out a team. I think Matias Rojas off the bench would be good. Robert Taylor, I think, just deserves that starting left wing role, and it's really hard to kind of bench Messi if he is fit to play and if he wants to play, right? So I think Robert Taylor and Messi on the wings. Campana deserves his spot at the front. If he plays Suarez, sure, I won't be mad, but I want Campana to start. I think he deserves it unless he proves us wrong tomorrow. But that's what I think the starting 11 is going to be. I'll put a graphic up either later today or tomorrow. I'll probably later today. Later today, I'll put a graphic up just to kind of like confirm it. I have it ready. I just have to actually upload it. Or I just have to make sure it actually looks good. But anyways, now let's talk about a predicted score. What do I think the final score is going to be for tomorrow's game against Atalanta? This is match day 17, I believe, right? This is our 17th game of the season. We're on a 10-game unbeaten run. We haven't conceded a goal, I want to say, in like, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like we haven't conceded in a couple of games. We haven't conceded. I saw something. I saw something from the Drive Pink Dialogue. I recently subscribed to them on YouTube and follow them on Twitter. You should go check them out. Drive Pink Dialogue. They also do Inter Miami podcasts and previews and reviews, and they talk all things Inter Miami. Really, really cool guys. It says here they tweeted this yesterday. Inter Miami has earned 13 points from their possible 15 on the road. It's the best road stretch in club history, and it's seen a number of players, including Diego Gomez, Lionel Messi, Mateus Rojo, Jay Collins, and Robert Taylor. So, we're in terms of form, we've been doing amazing. I saw something else that like we haven't conceded in like 5 games or something, like over 300 minutes or something ridiculous like that. And so, if we are to concede now, it would be a problem. It's going to be a problem. There's no way we should be conceding. We haven't conceded, I think, in our last 2 games. I mean, obviously we conceded against Vancouver, but that was a penalty kick. That doesn't count, right? I don't count that. Yeah, we had a clean sheet against DC, a clean sheet against Orlando. We did concede against Montreal. I don't know. We haven't conceded in like, let's just say 2 games, right? So we've been doing really well defensively. Defensively is what I'm trying to say. Defensively, we've been doing really, really well. If we can keep that defensive effort against Atalanta, I think we'll be golden. And if we can easily put 3 past these guys, man. So I'm going to say we're going to keep a clean sheet. And I'm going to say Inter Miami is going to beat Atlanta United 3-0. That is my prediction. Could be 2, but we're going to go with 3. I got the last prediction right. I said it was either going to be a 1-1 or a 2-1 draw. I mean, I either said it was going to be a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 win. I said that we would beat DC. I said that we would tie against Orlando. So I've been getting the results correct. In terms of like the actual scoreline, I would get like 1 number off. So I think it's a 3-0 game. I think we're 100% going to get a win. We shouldn't be conceding. We shouldn't be losing. At the bare minimum, we shouldn't be losing to Atlanta, a team that has been struggling a lot this season, and that could be potentially firing their head coach. But if you are watching this, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think that's going to be the end of this podcast episode. I'm trying to remember if there was anything that I missed. I don't think so. Pretty much, I've talked about everything that has been going on at the club recently. Oh, actually, no. One thing that I did forgot to talk about. I don't know how I forgot to talk about this. Diego Gomez. Obviously, there's been a lot of transfer rumors regarding Diego Gomez and whether he's just been gaining a lot of interest from some European clubs and some just clubs out of the country, right? And West Ham apparently is just a big fan. They're very, very interested in Diego Gomez, and that is just a rumor that has been said on Spanish radio. Can I see this happening? Absolutely. Do I want this to happen? I hope not until the season ends. I really hope they don't do anything until the season ends, honestly. I know the Premier League and all of them in Europe are in off season right now, but our season doesn't end until December. So I really, really hope he can stay until the end of the season. I think losing a player like Diego Gomez is a huge, huge loss for Inter Miami. But these rumors have been circulating for quite a while. I mean, ever since he's been popping off at the beginning of the season, I've said like he's been. Everybody underestimated him last season because he wasn't fully there. He still had to adapt, but he's fully adapted now, and he's pretty much established himself as a starting player. Obviously, with his injury, he hasn't been really getting any game time, but He's still a massive, massive part of the team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. I mean, he should be coming back from injury any day now. Honestly, he should be coming back from injury by the end of June, like the latest the end of June, right? Because he's been out with an ankle injury. So we should be seeing him in the starting 11 any day now. But yeah, that's going to be it for today on the Heron Taven podcast here on the Sofa Soccer channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow night after the game to do the post-game reaction versus Atalanta. And make sure you stay tuned for that. I'll make sure to send a reminder out on Twitter. Links of all the socials down in the below. If you have Spotify and you're not really able to keep up with the podcast on YouTube, there I will post an audio version of this podcast on Spotify, and that link will be also in the description down below. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you tomorrow night for the post-game reaction. Vamos Miami.